Directors, trustees, and officers under the Revised Corporation Code Part 2. Voting, Duties, Liability, Doctrines, and Corporate Governance I. Voting Requirements Legal Basis Section 52 of the Revised Corporation Code, RCC, a majority of directors or trustees, as stated in the Articles of Incorporation, constitutes a quorum. Decisions require the vote of at least a majority of the quorum, except for the election of officers, which requires the vote of a majority of all board members. Key concept: a quorum ensures legitimate corporate decision-making. Without it, actions taken may be void or invalid. Example: a corporation with 10 directors requires at least 6 to be present for a quorum. If 6 are present, at least 4 must vote in favor of a resolution for it to be valid. Jurisprudence Topros, Inc. v. Chong Jr., 2021. The Supreme Court emphasized that compliance with corporate governance rules, including voting procedures, is essential for the validity of board actions. 2. Duties, liability, and dealings of directors. Duties of directors and trustees. Directors and trustees owe fiduciary duties to the corporation. Duty of obedience, act within the scope of corporate powers. Duty of diligence, exercise reasonable care in managing corporate affairs. Duty of loyalty, prioritize corporate interests over personal gain. Liability of directors. Under Section 30 of the RCC, directors are liable if they willfully and knowingly vote for or assent to patently unlawful acts, are guilty of gross negligence or bad faith, engage in self-dealing transactions without proper disclosure and approval. Key concept: a director who uses corporate funds for personal investments violates the duty of loyalty and may be held liable for damages. Jurisprudence United Coconut Planters Bank v. Secretary of Justice, 2021. Directors who knowingly approved unauthorized bonuses were held liable for damages under corporate law. 3. Doctrine of Centralized Management. Legal basis Section 22 of the RCC vests corporate powers exclusively in the board of directors or trustees. Shareholders cannot directly manage the corporation unless they are also directors. Key concept: the board exercises corporate powers, conducts business, and controls corporate property. Example: a shareholder cannot sign contracts on behalf of the corporation unless they are also an authorized director or officer. Jurisprudence Topros, Inc. v. Chong Jr., 2021. The Supreme Court reiterated that only the board has the authority to manage corporate affairs. IV. Business Judgment Rule. Legal basis protects directors from liability for decisions made in good faith, within their authority, and in the corporation's best interests. Courts will not interfere unless there is fraud, bad faith, or gross negligence. Key concept: directors are not liable for honest mistakes in judgment if they acted prudently and in good faith. Example: if a board invests in a new venture that later fails, directors are not liable if they exercise due diligence. Jurisprudence Iant v. Tullett-Prebon, 2017. Directors cannot be held personally liable for honest errors in judgment made in good faith. V. Doctrine of Apparent Authority. Legal basis: a corporation is liable for the acts of its officers or agents if it leads third parties to reasonably believe that the officer has authority to act on its behalf. Key concept: corporate liability arises from perception, not actual authority. Example: if a corporate officer signs a supplier contract and the corporation allows it, the contract is binding even if the officer exceeded actual authority. Jurisprudence rooted in the principle of Estoppel under the Civil Code, frequently applied in corporate law. V. Doctrine of Ratification or Estoppel. Legal basis Section 20 of the RCC. A corporation cannot deny its existence or authority if it has acted as a corporation and third parties have relied on such representation. Acts of directors or officers may be ratified, curing any defects in authority. Key concept: ratification validates unauthorized corporate acts. Example: a director enters into a contract without board approval. The corporation accepts the contract's benefits. This constitutes ratification, making the contract binding. Jurisprudence United Coconut Planters Bank v. Secretary of Justice, 2021. The Supreme Court upheld the principle of ratification, stressing the need for proper board approval. Bar exam tips: memorize key provisions. Focus on sections 22, 30, 31, and 52 of the RCC. Understand doctrines. Be ready to apply. Business judgment rule, doctrine of apparent authority, doctrine of ratification. Cite jurisprudence. Cases like TOPROS, Inc. vs. Chong Jr., 2021, and United Coconut Planters Bank vs. Secretary of Justice, 2021, reinforce legal principles. Practice IRAC method, issue, rule, analysis, conclusion for structured bar exam answers. Interactive exercise. Hypothetical question: a director of XYZ Corporation enters into a contract with a supplier without board approval. The supplier delivers goods, and the corporation uses them. Later, the board claims the contract is invalid. Suggested answer framework. Issue: is the corporation bound by the contract entered into by the director without board approval? Rule: apply the doctrine of apparent authority and ratification under sections 20 and 31 of the RCC. Analysis: since the corporation accepted the goods, it effectively ratified the contract. Conclusion: the corporation is liable for the contract. By mastering these concepts and applying them to practical scenarios, you will be well prepared for bar exam questions on corporate governance. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more legal insights. Thank you, and good luck with your studies.